a big fan of Halloween. Okay, so I just got back from watching Beetlejuice. And the first thing I want to say is, if you like the first one, you should go see it. Go see it. You will have a good time. Don't have any expectations and just have a fun hour and 44 minutes. I think it was the perfect way to start off this spooky season, my favorite season. And I wasn't even a huge Beetlejuice fan growing up. I knew of it, I had seen parts of it, but honestly, it didn't really look like my thing because I don't always love gross, like deliberately gross. But then when I was older, I actually watched it and I was like, oh yes, of course I love this movie. I'm an artist. And it has Winona Ryder being a goth icon. I didn't want to make a very big video about it, but this will have spoilers. It's just going to be a gab. It's going to be a gab, and it's partially because I don't like to see bad reviews for these types of movies. In the world of reboots and remakes that we have now, you always gotta ask why they did that. Is it a cash grab or because they really wanted to? And I had watched interviews and it did seem like Tim Burton and Michael Keaton wouldn't want to do it unless there was a very good reason to do it, which I appreciate. And they did wait a good amount of time before making it. So I'm very happy they did make it, and I'm not totally sure why they did though. So let's start with what I really loved about this. Me and my friends, we saw it on a big screen, bigger than normal, and it definitely felt like the type of movie that is made for that. Truthfully, did I want to see this movie more and right away because I love Jenna Ortega? Yes. But they know that and they put her in there. Tim Burton knows that, and I think she was a good choice. I like that she played Winona Ryder's daughter. That was great for me, and I think they did a really good job at continuing the characters in an authentic way. It didn't feel forced, and they did a good job at introducing new characters. I think the absolute standout of the movie was Catherine O'Hara, Delia. She was hysterical. And I don't know if Jeffrey Jones, Charles, couldn't have been in the movie or like he wasn't in it. Him, the actor, wasn't in it for whatever reason. But I think they did a really creative way of taking him out of it, but still making him a character instead of, oh, you know, he died. So tragic, but let's continue our life. No, they did. He died, and that's his whole thing. And it was comedic, and they did claymation or some kind of animation with it. And it was great. So I'm happy that he was a character, and I especially love that he's into birds because obviously I'm into birds. If you know me outside of these movie reviews, I saw a Harlequin duck, common merganser, many ducks in this movie, so that's always a bonus. So him having his head bit off by a shark was perhaps the most clever way I've ever seen a movie have a character without showing their face. And I especially loved the tombstone shark fin. And the heart of this video is that this is a work of art because of the details, like regardless of how you look at it in typical movie standards, the way Tim Burton does movies is a work of art. So I think they did an absolutely great job establishing why they're starting at this point in their life, because Charles died and they're all back together going to the Dietz's old house. And of course that's gonna bring back everything. When you break down this movie, it's going to be about characters, and that's kind of what the first one is about. We love the kooky characters. What I liked better about the first one is that there was more exposition where you're learning about the world because it's the first time you've been introduced to it. This movie, you know the world, so you're expecting that. There wasn't as much world building, but that's what I liked about the first one, so it was a little bit sad to not have that, and it made it more dependent on the plot, and the plot was a lot. It was a lot, but then again, it was not. And I'll get to that. But I think the reason they wanted to make it is because of Lydia and Astrid's relationship. And that is the overarching focus of the movie. And at first, from the trailer, I realized that Astrid was gonna butt heads with Lydia. They were not gonna have a good, happy relationship that I would want to see from my favorite character in the first one, having a daughter and having this cool gift. So I was like, oh, sad. They're not gonna like each each other from the get-go. So I was a little bit hesitant on how they were going to make that realistic. How are they going to convince me that someone would not like someone as cool as Lydia? And I do think they did it in a good way. Lydia is now profiting off of her ability in this ghost hunting show, essentially, and Astrid is not into it, rightfully, because she is an educated youth of America. And I do like how they depicted that, and I think it does show a true to life comparison of differences in generation a little bit. So I liked that they did that. What pushed it over the edge to being like totally believable is Astrid having a dead father who Lydia cannot see, and that would produce resentment toward pretending that you could see ghosts and then not talking to your daughter's father. So I was like, cool. They don't like each other, but I get why. And although Astrid was a little bit annoying, however old she was, it's believable for that age. I'm sorry if my voice gets grumblier and grumblier. I am getting over being sick. So then it was funny to have Rory, the new boyfriend slash fiance, all of a sudden be overly obnoxious stereotype of corporate disguising as like a feminist. So I thoroughly enjoyed the whole part of the movie, not in the ghostly afterlife world where it is establishing the bullet points of the movie and the plot. And I especially liked anything that had to do with Astrid's dad and his piranhas. They did a good job at convincing me of the relationships and of the people. And it was really fun to see the characters that we love continuing to be themselves in a more modern world. Michael Keaton, obviously, he did a great job at being Beetlejuice. I didn't like him in the first one for obvious reasons. Like, it's not that I don't like him. I just, I don't like gross things. And he's gross. And this one is arguably grosser than the first one. I hate it. I hate it. But that's just me. We didn't eat before, and then we ordered food in the theater, and I was like, I don't want to be eating this. This is gross. But that's the point. And he did great. He was exactly the same. And then the other new introduction is that we get a backstory about him, how he became who he is, and his ex-wife, who is a blood cult lady who sucks your soul out, but then he sliced her in half and now she's back. So I was like, dang, I didn't expect that, but sure. Everything in this world is like, okay, sure. And it's very fast-paced. It was a very fast-paced movie. So there was a lot to get in that amount of time. Other new character, Willem Dafoe, as just an actor playing a cop detective. That's just hilarious and great. I'm happy he was in it. He did very little for the actual plot, but I didn't need him to. He was good. I love Willem Dafoe. Okay, Boy. Boy was the other one. Arthur Conti. Jeremy. I didn't trust Jeremy for a second. My wife definitely didn't trust Jeremy for a second. And right when he read the fucking book, Easterhoff, or whatever the book is that everyone should know that I don't know. And Astrid's like, oh, you're one of those. And we're all like, oh, you're one of those. But then she totally falls for him. And she was just boy crazy, which is fine for, again, however old she was. Not boy crazy. They set it up to be she's bullied, doesn't have a lot of friends, and, boy likes her. And that's fine. But I was like, girl, there's so many red flags. I get it, but ew. Ew, I didn't like him. And I didn't know if we were supposed to, because I didn't predict that he was dead, but I knew that, okay, he's obviously a villain character, and when is this gonna be that? But I do really like how they pulled that off, and it is very rewarding for Astrid to finally believe in her mom. What I had issue with this movie is that each problem, each conflict presented felt like it could have been its own movie and was gonna be a big thing. So you have ex-cult girlfriend lady trying to suck the soul out of Beetlejuice. And I'm like, cool, fine. I don't really care what happens to Beetlejuice. He's gonna be fine. And she's fun skulking around, making people shrivel up. But she's like the first one introduced, so like, okay, she's the problem. But then Astrid Boy is also a problem. So it was like, okay, we got two. And then we got Lydia agreeing to marry Beetlejuice, which I knew was like the whole point of the first one. So we got 3 problems here. A lot of problems to have. And my issue was they were all resolved so easily, so quickly. Like, I remember when Beetlejuice drops boyfriend into hell, I was like, oh, okay. I was happy at the time because I was like, oh, I'm glad this isn't a beat the clock type of movie because those stress me out. And I know like Astrid would have been fine. She would have gotten to live in the end. Like, I'm pretty positive. But still, trying to beat someone before they could do something stresses me out. So like, he's in hell. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. The boyfriend is, I guess that was not the big conflict of the movie. I'm glad. But then there was no big conflict of the movie. Like, there were the issues at hand, but the tension wasn't there at basically at all for the rest of the movie because I knew like it's gonna be fine. I nearly forgot about Cult Lady by the time she rolled up and she got eaten by a sandworm with stupid fiance. That too, another issue. Fiance getting married to this manipulative, money-hungry man. But they were gone in one fell swoop. Foul? Oh my god. What is it? In one fell swoop. They were gone in one fell, oh my god. They were gone in one fell sandworm swoop. Okay, so I wish the movie fan in me could respect my like of movies enough to not watch trailers. But I want the trailers, I want to get hype, I want to know what I'm gonna go see. But I hate watching trailers because then I know like a snapshot of all the best parts. And so I'm like not as impressed as I was when I was watching the trailer, watching it for the first time. You know how it goes. But I wish I hadn't seen the trailer because I kind of like already had a roadmap of the points that they would be and what would be happening in them. So once they happened, I was like, okay, there's not many things. I don't think there's many things that are gonna happen else in the movie. So I was surprised at how fast the movie was. Like, it was really fast paced, but I thought it was over really fast. And my ADHD wife didn't think that. She thought it was long or like a lot. And like, yeah, it's true, it was a lot. But I was like, oh my god, it's like over. This is the big end scene, then they're wrapping it up. So I don't think pacing of the movie was as good as it could have been because the plot wasn't as good as it could have been either. But I'm not mad about it. They made me care about everyone I needed to care about. They made me not like who I didn't like. They paid attention to pretty much every detail from left to right of the screen. They answered, I think, any what about this question that I had, and they pieced it all together in a way that made me believe they fully understood what they were doing when making it. And I think I've never made a movie, but if you can convince me of all of that, you did one hell of a job. And I think the core of the movie, or the reason why Tim Burton wanted to do another one, was because of family. Like, we like how crazy and weird dynamic the family is in the first one, and this one, they're still just as weird, but they're dealing with modern day influences, and they wanted another family dynamic. They convinced me why someone as cool as Lydia could fall for a guy like whatever his name was, who died and was a producer, and make me believe that she would end up on TV doing a kind of crappy ghost show, and that Delia would be a big time artist being absurd, and that Astrid would be the little rebellious, intelligent kind of brat that she was. It felt very comforting in a way, which is weird to say about that movie. And it was during Halloween, so there were Halloween vibes, and I will love that. I'm here for any Halloween vibes, and like my wife said, we went to see it for the ambiance. The ambiance. My wife needs a charger. I'm gonna bring this to her. It was the wrong charger. Ghost. This is not really a good flavor. More things that I loved. The waiting room. It's always good. Oh, Bob. How can I forget Bob? Okay, that was like the only thing that ex-wife character had going for her. She killed Bob. If she had not done that, she would have been a nothing in this movie. She would have been no real threat. She's like the reason something's happened, of course, yes. But like, what was she doing? She was doing nothing. She was killing Bob. That's what I cared about. Those shrunken head people were a highlight of the movie. They were funny. I loved the way that they ran, and I really cared about Bob by the time that he was dead. And I like that they put the in memoriam, rest in peace Bob, at the end. And I was really happy that we saw the dad and that he was eaten by piranhas. Oh, and that is a through line now with Wednesday too. Piranha death. Not death. The piranhas. Tim Burton and piranhas. And of course, I loved the biggest moment of the movie, the church scene. It was great. And the soundtrack of the movie, great. I get a lot of my music that I listen to for movies. I will take out my phone. That is the only reason I take out my phone in a movie theater, is to Shazam the song. And I am discreet about it, as discreet as I can be. I Shazammed Some Days by Tess Parks into that. I quickly want to find, there's another song that me and my sister love that I can't remember that was in it. And it's when Astrid she kisses the ghost boy and realizes, you know what, I'll find that later and I'll put it right here. No, wait, over here. This song. Okay, but the church scene, yes, amazing. I loved that they did the bits of lip syncing songs, and they lip synced like better than freaking music videos do of their own songs. It was really good. Loved to see them all dance, do a thing. Loved that the freaking influencers got sucked into their phones. Loved the sandworms. Loved everything that made me love the first one. It is a true work of art. Work of art. The amount of like I thought at some point, oh, I could watch so much more of this. I would just like to watch this. And it reminds me of being in art college when it was good, and just watching other people's visions come to life in any possible way that they could make it happen. He uses traditional styles of making movies, not a lot of CGI. We loved Be My Wife. We loved the mix. That's why we wanna watch these movies and support them, is because someone freaking made that puppet or the claymation or the goo or the grossness. They sat down at a little table, crafted things tediously, and made it. And I thought I would watch so much more of this, but it is fast-paced and it is not overly long because it's insanely hard to do all of this. And I have an issue with anyone who rates movies like this 1, 2, 3, 4. You can't rate it a 1, 2, 3, or 4. You cannot watch this movie, see that the work that was put into this movie, and rate it any of those things. Or even 5, really. Okay, 5. If you have done this much creativity, the amount of skill and practice and precision that went into this, it's a minimum 5, and then you could judge the rest. Yes, the plot didn't have the momentum or tension or climax resolution that I had wanted, but I wasn't disappointed. It is what it is, and it felt like it was setting up a next one. It felt like the middle movie. It's like, okay, we're transitioning, and then they'll do another one. We'll see how well it did in box office. There's a spider on the floor. I don't want spiders in my house, but I do feel bad if I kill that spider right now. Why? I'm not gonna kill him right now. I'm sorry greatly. He's little. I can't kill him right now. I'll try to put him outside later, and I'll watch him. Okay. I got distracted. I can't rate it a 5. It was like a 7.6. For artistic purposes, A+, 10 out of 10. For typical movie gradings, like a 7. And like, well, it's great. It's great. And you should see it. You'll have fun. It's okay if you don't want to pay for it. Go to the like $5 one and have a good little time enjoying a spooky thing for the spooky season. Oh, wait. Wrapping up, can't. I did not want to see scariest part of the movie. Jenna Ortega birthing a baby that was that horrible little Beetlejuice baby. I didn't want that. I didn't. That was just the end. Or like, I forgot. It's like time jump a little bit, which is great. I love good mended relationship. And she immediately is like, wow, look at that boy. And then the wedding dress and then the baby, like it was a dream. But like, I was like, damn, my wife was like, these Deets girls, they move fast. They're getting married. But that was like cheeky little thing to be like, he's not God. We're gonna do Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Because you kind of have to. You kind of have to. So I don't know, if you want another one, do this one. And tell me what you thought of it. And I love you guys. And I hope you are ready for the spooky season. And wish me luck about what to do about this little spider that's hiding in my carpet. Because I'm conflicted. Goodbye.